today we are graced by Brad Masqua,
Yes.
interviewing the team of Novus. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for hosting me.
Of course, man. You've got your mic.
Got my mic.
You've got your tea, presumably. I think we both do.
Got some
Here's
tea.
some cheers.
I don't have the same cup as you. Sorry.
It's okay. It's close. It's close. You know, one's a purist and one's like not, I guess. We'll just keep it at that. Very happy to have you, man. You guys are building something really cool. We got to speak with Alpha Geek yesterday about the vision in his eyes.
Yep.
And where you guys are going with it. So today, I guess we'll start off getting to know you a little better.
Sure.
If you can tell us a little bit about your background before Web3 and what brought you into the space.
Actually, this is a unique story I don't think I've ever shared with anybody before. So I actually, before I got into Web3, had quit my job, and I was a stay-at-home dad for, I think it's like 5 years. It was only supposed to be 3. And before that, I was a executive director at Goddard School, which is like higher end preschool. We had, I don't even know, 240 plus kids. So it's basically like a small school. And I was like the principal, to put it in simple terms. But my wife was expecting our 3rd son, and our oldest son was about to go to kindergarten, and she had just taken a new job. And at that point, we were both going to be working really long hours. We just weren't going to be parents. We were just going to be guardians, and that was not cool with us. So I quit my job. She makes way more than I do, and was a stay-at-home dad while my oldest son went to kindergarten. And I was only supposed to be there for like 3 years and then go back and get a job. And then COVID came. And at that time, nobody was hiring. Nobody was doing anything because nobody knew what was expected or what to expect. And so it was really hard to find a job. I couldn't find one. And lo and behold, Web3 came along. I think my brother introduced me to Top Shot. I started there, I think, as probably a lot of people did. What transitioned me, I'm not sure. I don't really remember. I remember diving into a couple things, and then where I met Paul was actually the first thing I really dove into was a DAO. He and I were helping to found the Alpha Moon DAO. We're still active, not incredibly active, but we do have a good little group of people. We're a doodle holder, and I think pretty much everything in the doodle ecosystem is something that we're a part of. But anyway, I met him there, and lo and behold, he owns his own company and brought me along, hired me in his job. So that's where my in real life work comes in. But as far as Web3 goes, probably we'll say June, July of last year, so 2021. My wife told me, here, you can have $1,200. We can put that towards trying this out, seeing what happens. And that's all I've ever invested in it. I haven't put any more money in, of my own money anyway, that I haven't earned through ETH or crypto in general. It's kind of what's led me to here. Certainly, I don't know how deep Alpha went into our AVP project in the beginnings there yesterday, but that was kind of the beginning journey into the Web3 space.
Cool. You're a busy man.
Yeah.
Alpha Moon DAO, Average Punks, your IRL job, Novus, parenting.
3 kids, man. As you know,
God bless.
once you go past
how do you
one-on-one and you move to the zone defense, it gets a little wacky.
How do you keep up with everything?
Just being able to be at home, and my wife is pretty much remote as well, so we kind of just tag team a lot of stuff. We've kind of hit a groove of, these days you're covering this, these days I'm covering this, and then once a month, like today and this week, she's actually travels down to Maryland for work, and so I'm single parent, but we now have family nearby, so my in-laws are pretty helpful and get it done.
Do you think you're able to give your best when you're doing multiple projects? Do you think it's possible? Do you think it's impossible?
So I think it depends on the structure, and the beauty of what we've been able to do, especially with AVP from the beginning, is we inherited something with nothing, if that makes sense. We had no funds, we had no team, we had only ourselves. And part of what has made us successful is being able to find people to bring and partner alongside of us with an understanding of what we're building towards. And so I think we're still building. Don't take that we're, in the home run hitting part of our journey here, but we've learned to signify certain people and bring them on board with us, and they've kind of supported us and come alongside of us. And so we're bringing on more team members than we are, we're the two leaders and everyone else is under us. It's more of a partnership. And so I think we have one of the larger teams, and I'm not super familiar with all the teams in the space, but as far as like equal partners and equal expectations, we're really good at bringing people up to speed that way, and we've been able to build out that way. So I think it is doable.
Because when you say,
to answer your question,
because when you say part of what makes us successful, then I have to ask if you feel like the project is successful.
which one?
But I mean,
let's yeah.
Average Punk specifically.
Yeah.
But maybe before we get there, I guess we'll talk about Average Punks. I mean, essentially, it's your first project in the space.
Yeah.
I do know from yesterday and from what you've told us today that you guys took it over.
Yeah.
Paul shared with us a little bit about kind of what happened with the original team, but maybe we can walk through how you became a project leader.
Yeah. So certainly we don't call ourselves the founders of the AVP, we'll say ecosystem, but we are the co-owners of it. And there's 5 of us on that team. And then we have people who also come alongside of us down there in the team as well. But so what happened was Paul and I were advising throughout the minting process. We went live with Mint, I think, the very first week of the bear market in November. I don't remember the exact date. I want to say it was like the 17th. I think it was a week before Thanksgiving for US. Anyway, I think about a week in, the founder pretty much just up and left, took all the funds, couldn't get a hold of him. We tried so many different outlets to contact him. We had been in, is it Google Meet? Is that a change? And I can't remember the name of it, but whatever Google Meet was, we were on calls with him. So we saw his face, we knew his name and all of these things. No one in the community did, but we did. And he left us with nothing. And so Paul and I sat down with a couple of the other people we had brought into leadership alongside of us, and we're like, hey, what do we want to do? We have this really awesome community group of people who we absolutely have come to love. We don't want to let them down. Our names have been put on this because we were doxxed the whole time. So what do we do? And we decided ultimately to carry on, and we were able to get some of the assets, none of the funds, but some of the assets from AVP. So we have the contract and things like that in our wallets. And so Paul and I both put in quite a bit of our own ETH just to develop AVP and kind of bring it to what it is now. Certainly, if you look at the floor, I think most people will be like, oh, this isn't successful. It's not doing much. The floor is low. But if you look at what we took over and what we have had and what we've had to work with, I think we're doing really well. We have a really small, tight-knit community and something really positive to build off of, and we're not done building. Our focus has shifted to Novus to get this launched, but shortly after branding and things are done, we already have some things in the works for AVP. I'm not going to go at all deep into it because nothing's been decided, but we definitely plan to carry on there as well. So I think in that sense, it has been successful. I think we've also created things that the space hasn't seen before, or maybe it has been introduced, but I don't know if it's been carried out to the breadth that we've been able to do. For instance, holders get free pizza, like in real life pizza shops. We have upwards of 40 pizza shops across the United States. Our goal was to build out from there, but there's a bit of a issue with token proof. And so that's kind of one of the tech ends that we've been trying to figure out relatively cheaply because, again, we don't have a whole lot of funds. But that's just something that I think is unique to the space. And we have some other ideas. We also have a really great education program with AVP. We've been trying to get it certified by Discord, but I can't get a hold of anybody that's willing to answer me. But we have several mods who've gone through this really in-depth training process, and just this month, one of them is earning upwards of 2 ETH a month, just because they've been able to attend and participate in that education program. So I think it is successful. It may not be broadly successful. And if you look at the OpenSea page, maybe people think that it's not successful. But as far as reaching individual lives and changing what the space is capable of and who's able to access it, I do think we are successful in that end.
Very well said. Especially seeing as changing the space and impacting individuals in the space is kind of the goal for Novus.
Yeah.
I guess that's what's important.
Yeah, that's kind of what has hashed into Novus is kind of how can we broaden our reach to be able to get people access that they wouldn't have access otherwise.